like a little bit of excitement today. You know, I have said many times that there is a revolution going on in this country. And you're in the forefront of it. I'm delighted to have you here because nobody can stop this revolution. Our time has come. But I have in the past described what I think is important in a true revolution. A couple characteristics. One thing, I believe that the young people will respond if we have a true revolution going on, and they're involved, and a lot of them are right behind us here. Also, another significant part of a revolution is music. If you don't have the music, the spirit isn't there. And when the music is original, it is even more fantastic. I want to thank Gordon for that wonderful song he sang. I deeply appreciate that.
Yeah!
You know, it is wonderful. We don't know what the results are going to be. Most people are feeling pretty good about it, but we'll see in a few more hours. And it is important that if there are a few more votes out there, we certainly do need them. But this country has shifted. I have witnessed our problems, but when I started in the 1970s, I sensed that the country was really embarking on the wrong track. And ever since the early 70s, I thought, well, we are going to end up with a financial crisis and overextended that nobody will ever have any idea how we got there. But I tell you what, by plodding along and inviting so many in to the understanding of our Constitution or our traditions and how important liberty is, our movement is growing. Believe me, this country has shifted in the last 4 years.
Yeah!
Some in the media, actually in a kidding way, said, have you shifted to the mainstream? And I said, no way. The mainstream is shifted toward us. And we are the mainstream. You know, there's a couple issues that does distinguish our campaign, and I know you know all those, but I'll recite them once again. And those are certain issues that the other candidates, whether in this party or the other party, do not talk about. And that is a renewal in a pro-American, strong national defense foreign policy that makes sense. I've studied the issue of war over many years. I was a draftee in the 1960s. I was in the military for 5 years. But this issue of war has always been a political winner, believe it or not. The individual who knows how to propel and promote the cause of liberty and limited government and peace, they generally are the winners in a campaign. And let me give you a demonstration. I remember well the first election I was involved in. That was in 1952. And that was Eisenhower. He was elected because he was sick and tired of that needless, undeclared UN war, the Korean War, and he was elected to end that war.
Yeah!
So this whole idea that you have to be a liberal, progressive Democrat to be opposed to war is not wrong. We're proving the case that you can be a conservative, libertarian, constitutionalist and be strongly anti-illegal, unconstitutional war. In 1968, Richard Nixon was elected. He was supposed to stop the Vietnam War. He didn't do a very good job, but that was his job. He was supposed to. Took a few more years, and tragically, we still lost lives. But even as recent as the year 2000, our candidate at that time was disgusted with the foreign policy of the previous administration before he was elected. And what did he say? We need a humble foreign policy. We need a non-interventionist foreign policy. We need to quit the nation building. And the people voted for him. They elected him. But we got more nation building than ever before, and more war and more tragedy. And lo and behold, we just had an election a couple years ago. And the opposite party the candidate became a symbolic peace candidate. So he runs and says, we're going to end these wars. We're going to start bringing these troops home. So he gets elected. And the strangest thing happened immediately after he was elected. Believe it or not, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. And what followed? The expansion of the wars, addressing the, going into Libya and all these other places. Now it's very hard to even count how many countries we're attacking with our bombs and our drone missiles and our CIA. It's way overblown. It's coming to an end. Good common sense should bring it to an end, but it will come to an end because we're flat out broke, and that seems to me to be the most appropriate place to cut the spending immediately and bring our troops home. I am firmly convinced that the philosophy of liberty, if you apply it, understand our traditions, and understand our Constitution, it is the only way to achieve peace and prosperity, which should be our goal. Now there is another subject dear to all our hearts because we understand it. We understand that counterfeiting is illegal and immoral. It's illegal and immoral for you to do it, and you should be convicted of fraud, and it's a serious crime. Matter of fact, in the Coinage Act of 1792, they said counterfeiting, which is a national crime, the proper punishment for counterfeiting was death. That's how serious they considered inflation. Who are the inflators now? What would ever happen if we applied the law to the inflators, the ones who are counterfeiting our money? But it's very, very destructive. And that is the reason the solution is to end the Fed.
End the Fed!
You know, it might take us a year or two to end the Fed, but one thing that we could do immediately, we almost got it last year. We passed it in the House of Representatives, and that was, if we can't end the Fed, let's expose the Fed. Let's audit the Fed and know what they're doing to us. We ended up getting a partial audit of the Federal Reserve, and I guess nobody should be surprised in this crowd, but we found out that the Fed actually was dealing in about $15 trillion and bailing out all their buddies, whether it was Wall Street, but it turned out that 1/3 of that was going to foreign banks. I mean, this is an outrage. And whether you're a conservative or a libertarian or a constitutionalist, a Democrat, a progressive, or whatever, I think 90% of America say it's time we know what they're doing. They have no right to do this in secret. But the events will change things. Events sometimes drives the political activity. The wars will end. We will bring our troops home. I wish we would do it by just wise choices. And if elected, that will be number one on the list, is to bring the troops home. But eventually the troops will come home. Hopefully not with a tragic financial crisis, but that's what we're working for. We're printing money, spending money, deficits are exploding, and no real resolutions in Washington. But most empires end for financial reasons. They destroy the currencies of the financial crisis. You'd think we'd have a memory of what just happened in '89. The Soviets went into this country called Afghanistan, overextended themselves, and they went bankrupt, and their whole empire fell apart. So it will happen. Same way with the monetary issue. If we can't get the Federal Reserve out of the way, they're going to self-destruct because they're working on a non-viable economic system. Paper money is never long-lasting. It's lasted way longer than a lot of people expected. The worldwide paper currency, which is the dollar reserve standard, has been around for 40 years. And it's on its last leg. So we better be prepared to have monetary reform, and it's not complicated. All we have to do is enforce the Constitution. No emitting of bills of credit, which is paper money, and only legal tender should be gold and silver. By limiting the production of money and the counterfeiting of money, it limits the size of government. If there's unlimited printing of money, there's unlimited government, and that is what's happened in the last 40 years. Spending, deficits, intervention overseas, intervention here at home, endless entitlements. But it's all coming to end. This is what the financial crisis is telling us. This is what the financial markets are telling us. It is ending. But right now we're moving into the second phase of this economic crisis. We know about the financial crisis. We did everything wrong. We bailed out all the guys that were making a lot of money off and dumped all the bad debt on the American taxpayer. We are destroying the middle class and making it so that they don't even have their houses anymore. So now is the time that we have to offer an alternative. The only problem is that many who have been in charge and many around the world know exactly what we know. And they're making their plans too. They would like to establish a new paper standard under the United Nations. We can't allow that. So economic prosperity is intertwined with our foreign policy and our monetary policy. A lot of people will ask, what will you do on the first day to get jobs back in this country? Well, the first day you have to announce the new policy, and people would have to understand that that individual is very serious. It would change the tone of the country. It would shift, and all of a sudden I believe that things would start to improve. But we do have to change the foreign policy, the monetary policy, economic policy. We cannot believe in central economic planning through the Federal Reserve, nor some bureaucrats and some politicians who think they know how you're supposed to save your money. It doesn't work, but it's coming to an end. This is dangerous, it's serious, but it's also a wonderful opportunity. It's pointing out the failure. The failure of the Soviet system was clear evidence that it didn't work, and a lot of people have recognized this. What we're witnessing is the failure of the Keynesian model for economics of excess spending and printing press money in economic central planning. And when you get rid of that system, what is left? Economic freedom, personal liberty, sound money, property rights, contract rights, and peace, because you have to stop spending the money overseas. This is a program that is clear and very certain that it can help, and it's not totally strange and new. It seems strange to us because we have drifted so far, but it happens to be the philosophy of America, what made America great. If you follow the Constitution, that's what you would have. So we see this as a great opportunity. What we're hoping for, and I make no predictions, but I certainly hope we do well tonight. Matter of fact, I hope we do very well tonight. That will send a powerful message. Not for me personally, but for you and for what you stand for, what all Americans are coming our way for. It's a statement of support and endorsement for the concept of liberty. The understanding how freedom works. Why have we become so frightened of freedom? They say if you don't have all this government, people will fall through the cracks. But what is happening now, more people than ever have been falling through the cracks. This is our opportunity to show how a free society and freedoms and sound money works. We're on the vanguard. We are leading the charge. The country is coming this way, and let's hope and pray that this movement continues. I am very happy with this. It's way beyond my wildest dreams. I could tell you what I thought would happen 5 or 10 years ago. But we are marching on. Thank you very much.
Yeah!